What if one of the fastest growing sports on Earth was never supposed to exist? What if its global takeover began not with a grand vision, but with a happy accident and a simple misunderstanding? Today, Padel is played by millions, broadcast to global audiences, and loved by beginners and elite athletes alike. It's a game that brings people together, offering both fierce competition and endless fun. But to understand its explosive growth, its magnetic appeal, and why it's captivating the world, we have to go back to a time before it was even a sport. We have to uncover the unlikely beginnings of this global phenomenon. Before we continue with the video and my further explanation about Padel, I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Thank you very much in advance. Okay, let's continue. Our story doesn't begin in a meticulously planned sports complex, or with a committee of brilliant minds drafting rules. No, it starts much more humbly in the sun-drenched landscape of Mexico, specifically in the late 1960s. This is where we meet Enrique Corcuera, a wealthy and somewhat eccentric businessman with a love for sports and a beautiful holiday home in Acapulco. Corcuera had a dream, a tennis court right there at his property, a place where he and his friends could enjoy spirited matches under the Mexican sun. A simple enough desire, right? But as often happens, reality threw a wrench in his plans. He quickly realized a significant problem. His land was simply too small. There wasn't enough space to build a full-size tennis court without sacrificing other parts of his cherished property. Most people might have just shrugged and given up, maybe bought a bigger house or settled for a game of badminton. But Corcuera wasn't most people. He was a man of ingenuity, a person who saw obstacles not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for creative solutions. Instead of abandoning his dream, Corcuera decided to improvise, to adapt. If he couldn't have a regulation tennis court, he would create something that fit. He shortened the court, making it more compact. This was the first radical departure from the norm. But then came the truly revolutionary part. To prevent the balls from constantly flying off into his neighbor's yard or tumbling down a ravine, a common nuisance on a smaller confined court, he surrounded the entire playing area with walls. These weren't just decorative fences, these were solid walls, initially about 3 to 4 meters high, designed to keep the ball in play. And because traditional tennis rackets would be cumbersome in such a tight space, he opted for something different. Solid wooden paddles, much smaller and easier to handle, which he adapted for the game. At this point, there were no rule books, no official regulations. Corcuera hadn't set out to invent a new sport. He was just trying to solve a personal problem, to create a fun activity for himself and his guests. The players simply adapted. They quickly discovered something magical about these walls. Instead of being a barrier, they became an integral part of the game. Players learned to bounce the ball off the back wall, keeping rallies alive that would have ended instantly in traditional tennis. This simple change transformed everything. Rallies became longer, more fluid, almost dance-like. The game shifted from raw power and speed to strategy, finesse, and teamwork. You didn't need to be a giant to dominate. You needed smart angles and clever placement. It was a game where quick thinking often triumphed over brute force. Without ever meaning to, without a single thought of global expansion or professional tours, Enrique Corcuera had just created a brand new sport. A sport born purely out of necessity, a stroke of genius disguised as a creative mistake. Padel was born not with a bang, but with a gentle bounce off a backyard wall in Mexico. For a few years, Padel remained Corcuera's private delight, a charming curiosity enjoyed by his inner circle at his Acapulco home. It was a secret gem unknown to the wider world, a testament to one man's resourcefulness. It was a fun pastime, a quirky invention, but certainly not a global phenomenon. Not yet, anyway. The course of Padel's destiny changed dramatically when a very special visitor arrived at Corcuera's estate. This was Prince Alfonso of Hohenlohe-Langenburg, a Spanish aristocrat, a true cosmopolitan, and a visionary entrepreneur known for developing the luxurious Marbella Club Hotel in Spain. Prince Alfonso was, to put it mildly, fascinated by the game. He watched the unique rallies, the strategic use of the walls, the evident joy of the players, and something clicked. He wasn't just entertained, he saw its immense potential immediately. He saw a sport that was approachable, engaging, and perfectly suited for the leisurely yet active lifestyle of his resort's discerning clientele. When Prince Alfonso returned to his sun-drenched haven in Marbella, He didn't just talk about this curious Mexican game, he acted. He commissioned the construction of the very first paddle courts in Europe at his prestigious Marbella club. These weren't crude backyard constructions. These were elegant, purpose-built courts designed to introduce this novel sport to a discerning European audience. And the elite absolutely loved it. From those foundational courts in Marbella, Padel spread like wildfire through Spain's most exclusive social circles. It became the fashionable new activity for jet-setters, aristocrats, and influential business figures. Why did it resonate so strongly with this particular crowd? Several reasons stood out. Firstly, it was incredibly easy to learn. Unlike tennis, which can be daunting for beginners with its vast court and challenging techniques, Padel's smaller court, enclosed walls, and slower ball speed made it accessible almost instantly. You could pick up a paddle and enjoy a decent rally within minutes, not weeks. This low barrier to entry meant that anyone, regardless of prior sporting experience, could join in the fun. Secondly, it was highly social. Played exclusively in doubles, Padel inherently fosters camaraderie and interaction. The compact court means players are always close to each other, making conversation and laughter an integral part of the game. It wasn't just about winning, it was about spending quality time with friends and family, getting some exercise, and having a good life. The slower pace and strategic nature meant that players of varying skill levels could enjoy a game together, without one player completely dominating or feeling left out. It was inclusive by design. Thirdly, it was less physically intimidating than tennis. While still offering a great workout, the smaller court size and the ability to use the walls reduced the need for relentless running and explosive power seen in tennis. This made it appealing to a broader age range and to those who preferred a more tactical, less grueling form of exercise. You could still work up a sweat, but without feeling completely exhausted or risking injury after every match. Soon, the demand for courts grew, and dedicated paddle clubs began appearing across Spain, transforming it from a resort novelty into a mainstream sport within the country's social fabric. But Spain, for all its enthusiasm, wouldn't be the only country to fall head over heels for Padel. It was just the beginning of a much larger journey. As paddle found its footing in Spain, quietly building a loyal following, another significant chapter was about to unfold across the Atlantic. In the 1980s, the game made its way to Argentina. How exactly it traveled there is a tale with a few different versions, but one popular narrative credits Argentinian polo players and entrepreneurs who encountered the game while visiting Spain, particularly Marbella, and saw its potential back home. What we know for sure is that once Padel landed on Argentinian soil, everything changed. The Argentinian temperament, known for its passion, competitive spirit, and love for sports, embraced Padel with an intensity that would forever alter its trajectory. If Corcuera invented the game and the Spanish elite gave it a social status, the Argentinians gave it a soul of fierce competition. They transformed Padel from a charming pastime into a serious professional sport. Argentinian players, with their natural flair and strategic minds, didn't just play the game, they dissected it. They didn't just follow the existing ways, they innovated. New techniques were developed at a rapid pace. Players started to understand the physics of the walls in ways previously unexplored. They learned how to use the glass and mesh walls not just to keep the ball in play, but to create unexpected angles, to deceive opponents, and to set up winning shots. The salida de pared, ball coming off the back wall, became an art form, allowing for precise control and tactical advantage. Advanced positioning emerged as coaches and players meticulously studied court dynamics. The traditional tennis mindset of covering one's half of the court evolved into a complex dance of teamwork, anticipating not just the opponent's next shot, but also how the ball would react off the various surfaces. Every inch of the court became part of a strategic chessboard. Players learned to anticipate, to cover their partner, to exploit gaps, and to create space where none seemed to exist. The game became less about individual brilliance and more about the seamless coordination of a doubles pair, each player reading the other's mind, moving as one unit. Strategy, once an intuitive adaptation, became as important as skill. Matches weren't just won by hitting the hardest or running the fastest. They were won by outthinking the opponent, by patiently constructing points, by understanding percentages and probabilities. The bandeja and the vibra, two distinctive paddle shots designed for control and deception rather than pure power, became hallmarks of the Argentinian style, emphasizing precision over brute strength. These shots, hit with slice and spin, were specifically developed to keep the ball low after it bounced off the back wall, making it incredibly difficult for opponents to return aggressively. By the 1990s, Padel had exploded in Argentina. The country boasted thousands of paddle courts, far outstripping Spain in terms of sheer numbers, and a thriving professional scene. Tournaments became highly competitive events, attracting large crowds and showcasing a level of play that was both exhilarating and sophisticated. Padel was no longer accidental, nor was it just a social game for the elite. It was evolving into a global sporting force, and Argentina was at the forefront of this transformation, proving that a backyard invention could indeed become a high-stakes arena. Fast forward to the 21st century, and we find Padel in the midst of an unprecedented global surge. What began as an accidental backyard game, then charmed the European elite, and finally gained its competitive edge in Argentina, has now truly become one of the fastest-growing sports in the world. It's a phenomenon that has captured the imagination of millions, crossing borders, cultures, and demographics at an astonishing rate. So why now? Why has Padel truly exploded in popularity in recent years? The answer lies in how perfectly it fits into modern life, addressing many of the desires and constraints of today's busy individuals. Firstly, its short learning curve is a massive draw. In an age where people have less time but still crave engaging activities, Padel offers instant gratification. You don't need years of training to enjoy a game. Beginners can pick up the basics in an hour and immediately start having fun, experiencing satisfying rallies and feeling the thrill of competition. This accessibility makes it far less intimidating than sports like tennis or golf, which often require significant investment in lessons and practice before reaching a comfortable level of play. Secondly, the high fun factor is undeniable. The enclosed court, the constant play off the walls, and the close proximity of players create an incredibly dynamic and often humorous environment. There's a constant flow of action, unexpected bounces, and creative shot making that keeps every game fresh and exciting. It's a workout without feeling like a chore, an activity that brings genuine smiles and bursts of laughter. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, Padel is extremely social. As a doubles-only sport, it naturally encourages interaction and teamwork. It's a perfect activity for friends, families, and colleagues to connect. The smaller court size means less ground to cover, making it ideal for players of different ages and fitness levels to play together. This social aspect is a huge driver of its popularity, especially in a world where people are actively seeking ways to build community and spend quality time together away from screens. It's an antidote to isolation, offering genuine human connection through shared activity. Finally, its suitability for all ages makes it uniquely inclusive. Kids can play it, grandparents can play it, and everyone in between. The strategic element often levels the playing field, allowing older, more experienced players to outwit younger, faster opponents. This multi-generational appeal ensures that Padel can truly be a sport for everyone, fostering lifelong participation. The modern paddle boom isn't just a grassroots movement, it's also been fueled by professionalization. Tours like the World Padel Tour, launched in 2013, have transformed top players into global stars, showcasing the sport's highest level of athleticism, skill, and strategy. These tournaments, with their sleek branding, high production values, and charismatic athletes, have brought Padel to television screens and streaming platforms worldwide, inspiring new generations of players and fans. As a result, countries across Europe, especially Italy, Sweden, France, and Portugal, the Middle East, and Asia, have begun building courts at record speed. Old tennis clubs are converting courts, dedicated Padel facilities are popping up everywhere, and even residential complexes are including Padel courts as a premium amenity. The demand for courts often outstrips supply, a clear indicator of the sport's incredible momentum. Celebrities, footballers, and influencers have also embraced the sport, adding to its cool factor. From Lionel Messi to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, high-profile figures are often seen on Padel courts, sharing their experiences on social media and introducing the game to their massive followings. This endorsement has elevated Padel beyond a niche activity, transforming it into more than just a game. It became a lifestyle, a statement of modernity, fitness, and social connection. It's chic, it's fun, and everyone wants a piece of it. Today, Padel represents a near-perfect balance, a compelling fusion of seemingly opposing forces that make it uniquely appealing in the modern sporting landscape. It marries intense competition with undeniable fun, demanding athleticism with incredible accessibility, and pays homage to its humble beginnings while embracing cutting-edge innovation. On one hand, it's a fiercely competitive sport. The professional tours demonstrate an astonishing level of skill, strategy, and physical endurance. Top players execute incredible shots, anticipate opponents' moves with uncanny precision, and engage in epic battles that captivate audiences. The mental game is as crucial as the physical, demanding focus, resilience, and tactical brilliance under pressure. There's no doubt that Padel is a serious sport for those who choose to take it there. Yet, on the other hand, it remains supremely accessible and fun for everyone. The local club scene, the casual evening games, the mixed-gender matches, these are where the vast majority of Padel is played. It's a place for laughter, for improving your game at your own pace, and for forging friendships. This dual nature, the ability to be both elite and everyday, is one of its greatest strengths. The evolution of the game is also reflected in its infrastructure. Modern courts now feature state-of-the-art glass walls that offer perfect viewing angles for spectators and a predictable bounce for players. Advanced turf systems provide optimal grip and ball speed, while global broadcasting technologies bring high-definition paddle action to screens around the world. Technology, from smart sensors for performance tracking to sophisticated analytics software, is being integrated to help players and coaches refine their game, understand tactics, and optimize training. Looking ahead, the future of Padel looks nothing short of unstoppable. Youth academies are springing up everywhere, nurturing the next generation of players, ensuring a steady stream of talent, and continued growth for the sport. These academies aren't just teaching kids how to hit a ball. They're instilling a love for the game, teaching teamwork, strategy, and sportsmanship from an early age. With its growing presence in new markets from the United States to Australia and rapidly expanding across Asia, Padel is poised for even greater global reach. It's no longer a niche sport, but a true contender on the international stage, with discussions even circulating about its potential inclusion in future Olympic Games. The infrastructure, the professional tours, the grassroots enthusiasm, and the sheer joy it brings to millions point towards a future where Padel continues its upward trajectory, captivating more hearts and minds with every bounce of the ball. From a small improvised backyard court in Mexico, a solution to a land problem, to a global sporting phenomenon played and loved by millions, Padel's journey is a testament to the power of accidental invention and the universal appeal of a well-designed, engaging game. Not bad for an accident, huh? Every sport has a beginning. Some are meticulously planned, painstakingly designed over years by committees and experts, aiming for perfection from day one. Others simply happen. They emerge from necessity, from a moment of creative improvisation, a happy accident. Padel reminds us that greatness doesn't always start with a detailed blueprint or a grand strategy. Sometimes the most incredible innovations, the most beloved pastimes, simply start with a bit of ingenuity and a willingness to try something different, even if it feels a little bit like a mistake at first. This was the origin of Padel. And if you enjoyed learning about the unexpected journey of this incredible sport, you might just love what's next.